In Psalm 90, it says sort of, Lord, may your favour be upon us, may you establish the work of our hands. And I found that this was a prayer that I was praying every day as I went into the office. Of course, life would be an easy story if it was a one-way journey, but I don't think any of us have had that life experience. Beginning my story, I was adopted as a baby. I grew up in a loving family. I think being adopted actually gave me an additional push to really prove myself and actually establish my identity. I had all of these plans about going on to Oxford University to study mathematics. Unfortunately for me, when it came to the interview, what Oxford dons don't want to hear is that you want to study maths just so that you can work in finance and make your fortune making money in financial markets. At that point, my application was turned down, and I ended up in a situation where I had to do a gap year, which I hadn't planned. I then ended up applying to get jobs, and I ended up working in asset management. I also had a real desire to go travelling, but at that moment I wanted to protest against the injustice of apartheid in South Africa. So I wrote another letter off, and to my surprise, Archbishop Desmond Tutu wrote back to me offering me a role. When I arrived in South Africa, I met an individual who was a bishop for that particular region, and he greeted me, somewhat confused look in his eyes. He said, "Welcome to the new area missionaries for the Northern Transvaal." And I said, "Well, I'll give this a go, but I've never been to church in my life." At that moment, it became apparent that there had been a complete mistake, a godly coincidence. And so I worked on hunger projects, I worked on medical projects. But what was probably more profound than anything that I experienced was the support that I got with individuals at that particular time, which was what was to lead me to the moment where I gave my life to the Lord. In the workplace, I'm the Chief Investment Officer for Blue Bay Asset Management. We're fixed income specialists, part of RBC, running $160 billion of assets under management, and a team comprising 130 investors working worldwide. Who would have known that I had that opportunity coming? When I was praying those prayers, walking the dog with tears in my eyes, I'd done really well. I'd actually been promoted to work with the Chief Investment Officer at the time, but little was I to know that he was about to lose his job, and the incoming replacement didn't want to look upon a young kid in an elevated position. And so I went very quickly from having a high-flying career to finding myself redundant. This happened at a moment literally 1 month after my wife Christina had also handed in her notice. She'd quit her job as a school teacher. She was pregnant. The truth was we had just moved house. We'd had a bigger mortgage. I think the other thing that was also difficult was that when I received a redundancy check, I felt that, again, being obedient to tithing, obedient to putting God first in all areas of your life. And I remember in the days and weeks that followed, crying out to God, "Where are you in this?" A couple of difficult months later, in the same week that my son Ted was born, that was actually the day I got a call confirming a job offer, and I'd secured a great position as a number 2 on a team, and I'd only been there for a week. And then the head of the team decided to go and quit. Now, I'd seen this story once before, so maybe I should just quit myself. But actually, in praying for it in the moment, I felt the Lord say, "No, ask for his job." And so I marched up to the boss's office, and I explained the situation. I said, "Look, I need you to make a decision. Make me the head of the team by the end of today, or here's my notice." And I was called back in about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was then announced as the new head of global fixed income. It would come from trees. Have we? Have we had any more trees there? I've been blessed to have such a strong marriage and such a wonderful wife these past 30 years. Christina never once doubted that there wouldn't be a positive end to this story. At the time I was a young leader. I was just 28 years of age. I wanted to try and, in a small way, model my own life, model my own leadership on the leadership that I saw Jesus give. He led as a servant. Leading with humility doesn't mean that you're weak, but it's all about putting others before yourself. I really can say that those who question the leadership style only need to look at the results. In the last 5 years, the business that I'm overseeing, we've doubled our revenues to over $600 million a year. The other evidence is when our team is surveyed both externally and internally, ours shows up as a oddly happy team, a team with a positive culture. So I think the one thing I would say is that the Lord has put us all in the position that we're in. Whatever your circumstance, be faithful to where you are. Put the Lord first. And if you really want to have success in your career, I feel you need to live out your faith in your career, and in that way the Lord will be faithful to bless the work of your hands.